How should you prepare for retirement? Firstly, set your retirement goals. When will you retire? Where will you retire? How will you retire? I was at a funeral of a client earlier on the year who died age 87, and he was working, I think, pretty much up until age 83, 84. It's entirely up to you. I've got other clients who have retired at age 50 and who have been bored by age 52. I'm not a psychologist. I can't work out what's going on inside your head. What we can help do is plan for the future by looking at the numbers and looking at whether your objectives and your plans are realistic. Where might you retire? Some people want to retire abroad. Some people might be working in a particular role in London or another big city. You might want to retire back to the countryside or come back home where they were from originally. Again, a client we had recently moved back to the northeast of England to a small ex-mining village. I was absolutely amazed at why he would do that, but that was where he was from. It's where his roots were. It's where his family was. You need to have these thoughts in your head as where will you retire and when will you retire. The how will you retire is a whole new complicated question that's become a little bit more blurred over the last 10-15 years, shall we say. Gone are the days where you will work for one organisation from the age of 16 or 21 when you leave university and still be there up to when you're age 60 or 65, and then suddenly pick a date and you're going to retire. You receive your gold carriage clock from your employer for 50 years service and you retire and you're probably dead within 2 or 3 years. That's what happened during the 1970s and 80s. People who might have worked down the pit or worked for the steelworks or one particular office somewhere, you worked there all your life, then you retired. Nowadays, people will have had multiple jobs over the years, come to a point in their life where they will have different pensions where they can access them at different times, and some people want to retire more flexibly than what might have happened in the past. You hear a lot of people, maybe people work in the NHS or in education, who will get past say age 50 and say they want to only work 3 days a week, 2 days a week. A lot of people past age 55 might access their NHS pension, for example, because this has become quite common in the last few years, and take their NHS pension, only work 2 days a week, but the combined pension income with their reduced salary, put it together, and in a lot of cases they're earning more now working 2 days a week than what they would have done if they'd been working 5 days a week. The obvious risk warnings there is if you cash the pension in sooner, you may get less than if you left it until a later point in your life. But this is where the planning comes in. You set those goals, you plan towards them, and then hopefully those goals are more easily obtained and more easily achieved. Calculate your retirement needs. It's impossible for me as an advisor to say to an individual, you need to have £2,000 a month, £3,000 a month, whatever it may be, in retirement to spend. You will know how you spend money. Again, I've given advice for over 20 years now, and each client scenario looks a lot different to the others. Clients may come in and say, I've never spent money during my working life. I'm a very, very tight kind of person, spendthrift, whatever you want to say. And then they're retired, they've got more time on their hands, they might take more holidays, they might socialise more. We've got clients who all of a sudden start going to dance classes, who might previously have never bought a Costa coffee in their life, take a flask of coffee to work, and then all of a sudden they're going for nice walks in the countryside and they're spending an extra 30, 40, 50 pounds a week, a month, whatever it may be, on little treats, little cups of coffee here and there, cups of tea that they never spent previously. Think about who you are, think about what your goals are. Do you have a golf membership? Do you have a cinema pass? Do you have a football season ticket? If you don't now, will you have that in retirement? Holidays abroad, have you done them all? I always remember talking to a very good client of ours who passed the age of 80, and he said, right Chris, that's me done, I'm not taking any more holidays. I might prefer my own bed, it's much more comfortable than hotel beds. I prefer how I make a cup of tea on a morning compared to what I get when I'm in a hotel. I'm sick of airports, I don't want to go on a cruise and be surrounded by people who I don't want to talk to anymore. He stopped taking holidays. If you'd looked at the holidays he'd taken from age 55 when he retired up to age 80, he'd been everywhere and everywhere. Fantastic, he did what he wanted to do and he always planned for that. He worked hard, and then when he retired he played hard. It's up to you. We just don't know. It all comes from you, and it's all about having a plan and an understanding. Other objectives and other things that you need to be looking at as you approach retirement or you want to prepare for retirement, you need to eliminate debt. Mortgages in retirement aren't normally a good thing. That said, we do have some clients who have retired and have taken some money out of pensions, upsized their house. You always hear people about downsizing. Well, a few people have upsized. You can still get a mortgage. If If you have a good pension behind you, then that pension fund could be used to pay the mortgage off. However, normally we would say to people, if you're going to retire and live happily ever after with less worry, less concern, having no debts, no huge credit cards, no personal loan balances is especially good, especially as interest rates over the last few years have returned to what we would say is a more normal level of interest rates. Obviously, interest rates went down to zero in the UK from 2008 to 2022 into 2023. They're back at 5.25%, which is where interest rates historically have tended to sort of lurch around. So you don't want to be in retirement with loads of personal credit cards and loans and such like. Where are you going to save your money? How are you going to save money? Create a plan. What's good for you? Do you like to have risky investments? Could you save into a stock market based investment? Do you prefer cash? It's entirely up to you. Save what you can afford to save every month. Years ago, there used to be salespeople from life insurance offices and pension providers who would literally go around knocking on people's doors and set up pension plans and savings plans, endowments, whatever it may have been. There was huge mis-selling scandals in the late 90s and early 2000s. A lot of these insurance companies either disappeared or simply got rid of their sales staff. And as a result, a lot of people lost this idea of a regular savings plan. It became less regular, if you like, for UK individuals to be setting a monthly savings plan. So yes, I'm glad that those unqualified salespeople who were often a lot of the time selling products to people that they didn't sometimes need or want. But the big negative aspect of that is people lost the ability and the habit to save on a monthly basis. You go to your bank right now, whether it's Nationwide, Santander, whoever it may be, they will offer bank accounts that offer a better rate of interest if you're paying a monthly amount in. If you've got a few £1,000s left over at the end of a year, put them into premium bonds, put them into bank accounts, put them into anything really, as long as you take advice and you understand what you're doing, put them into something where if you look at your own personal net wealth this time next year from today, and it's a little bit more next year than happy days. Obviously, as a retirement planning advisor, we'll use the word pension, and people hear the word pension and think, oh, that's boring, it sounds really complicated. Call it what you want. Your retirement pot, your slush fund, your ability to retire at 55, your ability to retire at 60, your ability to retire at 65, all depends on how much you save now. If you are going to rely on your nest pension or your employer-based pension plus the state pension, happy days, I hope it works out for you. The state pension, whilst I think it is very good right now, won't be paid out to most people till age 67. The government will like to increase that in the future. It's already slated to go up to age 68. I don't fancy working until I'm 67 or 68. I want to have the ability to at least be able to say from a certain age, I am now in a position where I can afford to retire. When we talk about where you might want to save your money and how you save your money, spread your risk where possible. Having more eggs in more baskets reduces the risk that if one of those investments or savings plans don't work out the way you might have wanted to, the other one should pull you through. Whether you're high risk, low risk, medium risk, we will have a solution for you. So speak with an advisor, think about what your options are. If you speak with an advisor in 2024, you don't necessarily have to engage and employ that advisor straight away. We often have people who will drop us an email, give us a call, maybe have an introductory meeting, and then go away and come back later down the line. It's perfectly fine to do that. You just start to get your ideas worked out, and we help people retire all the time. It is a great feeling as an advisor to say to somebody, you can now afford to retire. You are now able to do this. You are now able to meet your objectives. You can buy that holiday home abroad. You can retire and take some money from your pension and pay off all your debts and live happily ever after. Consider what sources of retirement income you will have. The state pension is often ignored by a lot of people. You will hear disparaging comments like, well, there'll be no state pension when I get there, or the state pension's not worth anything. Well, here's a little secret. There's a general election coming up in the UK, and all politicians want to woo those retired voters to give them their votes. So we have something called the pension triple lock. That means that state pension in the UK has gone up by way more than the regular rate that people's on average employed income has gone up. 8% increases were knocked out on the state pension earlier on this year. It was 10% the year before. The average state pension in the UK rose from £203 a week in 2023 to £221 a week in 2024. That's almost £11,500 a year that you can expect to receive from the state pension. Right now, the majority of clients that we deal with in the northeast of England will come to us and say, can I live on £2,500 a month, £2,000 a month, somewhere around that figure, maybe £3,000 a month if you're used to spending a lot of money on holidays, etc., etc. But if people can have around about £2,500 a month net income, they feel that they will be able to pay all of their bills and enjoy nice things that run alongside that. Well, if you're going to get £11,500 a year from the government, and if you're a married couple, that'll be almost £23,000 a year. You're almost there with the state pension to pay all of your essential bills, costs, etc., etc. So anything you've saved separate to that, whether it be in a pension, whether it be an investment property, stocks and shares, money in the bank, premium bonds, whatever it may be, the more you can have to run alongside that will allow you to maybe spend more during your 50s, early 60s, knowing that there's a state pension to come, which will provide that guaranteed, safe, secure income later on in retirement. If you can match that up with having some final salary pension income, if you may have worked for a company that offered a final salary pension in the past, or worked for the council, NHS, teachers, police, etc., etc., guaranteed sources of income in retirement are very, very valuable. We've recently seen annuities become more popular again as interest rates have risen, and an annuity is a guaranteed monthly income for the rest of your life. Again, I'm throwing a lot of industry jargon out at you there. Give us a call, ask to come and have an initial retirement planning consultation with one of our advisors, and we can provide you with all of these advice explained hopefully in a simple, no nonsense, straight to the point kind of way. How will you spend money in retirement? We have clients who take a monthly income from their pensions. We have some people who will take a lump sum once a year, spend it down, and once that runs out, take more money. You can be as flexible or as rigid as you like. Other people like the idea that I worked all my life, I was getting a fixed amount paid into my bank on the 20th of the month of roughly £1,800. I want that to be replicated in retirement. Well, we can help replicate whatever you want. Obviously, you've got to have the assets and the means behind you to do that. But think about what you might do. Do you have family abroad and you might be going to go and spend 3 months going to visit them in Canada when you're 66? Do you have aspirations to buy a camper van and disappear around Europe for 3 years at the beginning of your retirement? Only you know the answers to these questions. We can help put together a strategy, but you will be giving us the words and the information that goes in to the report that we prepare and produce, and hopefully that will open your eyes to how wonderful retirement can be for you.